I can remember like it was yesterday. I was competing here at Gateshead International Stadium at the North Eastern Outdoor Championships back in 2011, and the event was long jump. First round went well, really well actually. I jumped over 6 meters and I was happy about it, but I wanted a little bit more, being the athlete like I was back then and just being that little bit competitive. I still am really. So when I came to the second round, got to my marker, went through all the checkpoints, all the motions, what I need to do, attack the runway, hit the board and just let technique take over. But that never happened. Instead, the pain was excruciating. It was like someone had taken a hot knife and stabbed it into my knee, into my elbow, and they were just constantly twisting it over and over and over again. It was horrific. It was the most excruciating pain I've ever experienced. I was down in that pit for, well, it felt like an eternity, but I think it was round about an hour in total. And luckily someone that we knew quite well that came over and threw a big padded jacket over us to keep us warm, because I was going into shock and I don't know what the hell was happening. And fair play to the staff here at the stadium and St John's, they got to me really, really quickly, made sure I was okay and they were looking after us until the paramedics got here. When they did, they put me on happy gas straight away and they put my knee in some form of like inflatable brace. I was terrified to look at it in case my knee was just going to dangle, because I thought I'd dislocated my knee and ripped every single ligament in there to pieces, and I just thought it was just going to hang off, so I didn't even look. When I got put into that ambulance before I left, and I don't know why I did this, and it's a bit of a running joke, I waved at the crowd, like when you see a footballer clapping the crowd off or waving at the crowd to let them know they're all right. I thought I'd do that. I don't know why I did that, but when that door shut, man, I buckled a little bit. I generally thought there and then, once that door shut, that any form of activity going forward involving sport was done. That was it. I'd be reduced to walking. I wouldn't be able to play golf, football, run, jump, all that stuff. I thought it was done. And that was either the happy gas kicking in or just me overthinking things and just thinking the worst of it. I think we all do this from time to time when we get put into those fly or die situations. I was literally on the verge of crying because of that, but my mate who filmed that injury and who came with me to the hospital and was in the ambulance was like, no, you're fine. You don't need to cry, you're fine, you're going to be absolutely fine, don't worry. As he was playing the video to the paramedics in the ambulance. I don't know why he did that. While I was at hospital, I got x-rays, MRI scans, the works, and later I was diagnosed with a slight tear in my anterior cruciate ligament, or my ACL in my right knee. The news hit hard because I knew it was going to be a long-term injury. I mean, when I was in that sandpit, I knew it was going to be a serious injury, but I didn't think it would be that serious. A couple of weeks later, after the news, I was back in the gym. I was on the indoor track across the road from here, and I was starting from scratch basically. It was tough. It was the toughest 12 months I've ever experienced, because there were times where I didn't want to do it and there was times when I was well and truly up for it. The tougher times were the sessions I just didn't want to do, and as intense as the sessions were, and as much as I enjoyed some of them, it was more of a mental battle than it was a physical battle. And when you're trying to deal with when are you going to come back, it wasn't so much, oh, I'll be back in a couple of weeks. It was accepting the fact that I'm going to be back in months, really a year later. And you know what, those 12 months, they flew over, and before I knew it, I was back running, I was back jumping, I was back in the gym, playing football, golf, the works. I even ran a 10k for the Sport Relief Mile back in 2012 when they give you the 6 mile option to do. So my knee was completely fine after that. The rehab worked. My mate Nick, he sorted me out, he fixed me up. I was happy. What I'm trying to say in this video is, as runners, we do have to deal with injuries every now and then, whether it's a hamstring pull, a calf tear, plantar fasciitis. We just have to accept the fact that we're injured. I mentioned this in Here We Are Running's video back, I can't remember when it was, I think it was a couple of months ago. I'll link it here for you. And I mentioned that we are stubborn as runners, because when we get injured, we don't want to rest. We've put all this hard work in, and this horrible injury comes out of nowhere and it just ruins everything. How dare it ruin our training? The important thing here is just rest. Accept the fact that you have to rest. Accept the fact that your body's telling you that something's wrong and you just have to just chill the fuck out. It might mean you have to look back at your training. Were you pushing too hard? Was it too long of a run? Were there any strength sessions in there? What about core? Were you missing that as well? Just take a step back from running if you are injured and just enjoy the time off. The worst thing you can do is just sit and overthink and wonder when you're going to come back, when you're going to come back, or do the silly thing and just train the next day. It'll be fine in a couple of days, I'll be all right, and then next thing you know, you've torn something or you've really badly pulled it and you're out for 4 weeks rather than 2 weeks, or 6 months rather than 6 weeks. Just be patient. That's the one tip I'll give you for this video, is just be patient. Patience is a virtue. You ain't gonna recover from a hamstring pull within 48 hours. Just not possible. Just, like I mentioned, take a step back, enjoy the time off, get on a bike, do something else that doesn't involve your legs, read a book, something. Just don't do what some folk out there do and just train the next day. That really annoys me. And if the injury's still bothering you, go and get it diagnosed via a sports therapist or a doctor or something like that. Don't just go out there and hammer it and just think you're gonna get away with it, because it's not the case, you know? Just look after yourself, you know what I mean?